Ugh, good morning, good morning, good morning. Am I still there? Hi, everybody. Hi. Alrighty, so thank God I'm not headlining this show this morning. But you guys are going to be, hopefully, I'll try not to have any hacking on screen. Good morning. Hopefully you guys are there listening. I see a bunch of you guys has popped in so far. Still waiting for a few more. This is Saturday Morning Cartoon for those that are joining us for the first time. This is what we try to do on most Saturdays, and basically trying to share what you guys are known to enjoy when you were growing up, if you guys are around about my age. With our lovely host here, Rosemarie Rose and Jerome Connor. Yay, we're gonna have some fun this morning. But before we all started here, I've been on my back.
So many jokes. So many jokes.
Check this out. I went to work Monday. I was homesick Tuesday, homesick Wednesday, went to work Thursday, left work early Thursday because just wanted to recover a little bit more than what I had when I went to work. And then the next day, my car decides it wants to break down. Luckily, I got it home and actually got it to the shop. The following morning, here I am dreading a $500 to $1,000 repair bill. It's $260 worth of spark plugs and coils. So
that's good.
And it rides better than I've ever driven it. And I said, no, gotta knock on wood. Gotta knock on wood. This is just too good to be true. Something's gonna happen. Luckily, nothing, and it's fine. So, Terry from Ireland, hello. Cheryl, hello. Corey, good morning. Corey said he would be first. He said this earlier this week, I think, in one of the posts that I put up that said, I'm gonna be first because I'm closer. I'm like, I think understood that. But okay, but yeah, Corey is in training for JetBlue. And obviously, I guess he's down here in my state in Florida.
Yeah, congratulations to Corey. It's a new job. He's been waiting to hear from them for months, and he's down there. You know what's funny is with him wearing a suit, if you know Corey personal, he looks respectable, and that just doesn't look right. Okay.
Well, Corey, keep up the looking right.
Yes, looking good, Corey.
Yeah, we'll respect you more if you just put some clothes on. So anyway,
don't tempt him.
Yeah. Hey, we have a very interesting show here being run by Jerome, and like always, guys, if you have any thoughts on future shows. Oh my God, Corey just said he's here in Orlando. Let me lock my doors and windows. I don't like people, so damn if I'm gonna come visit you, hang out with you, anything like that. Nope, doesn't work that way with me. So forget it. So anyway, yes, JetBlue University says this week. All right, good job. Just be a responsible JetBlue employee. And we'll like you a lot. Anyway, who, by the way, has the largest seat space of any plane in all of our skies is JetBlue.
Yes.
So yeah, just lower your prices down in Southwest and Spirit prices. I may actually fly you. But anyway, this is an interesting show today. And like I said before, this was run by Jerome, and Jerome came up with the idea of doing Sci-Fi Saturday Morning Cartoons. Now, like all of our shows that we do, ladies and gentlemen, there's no way possible that we can cover everything in the topic that we've selected. It's utterly impossible. Can't do it in one show. There's going to be part 1 through part 54. So just bear with what Jerome comes up with. If you have anything you'd like to add in conclusion to his topic, then that's all well and fine. All right, Jerome, buddy boy, you talk while I gear up your first.
Absolutely. Good morning, everybody. I'm a serious science fiction nut. Okay, and yeah, there you go. And I've been, if there was a science fiction Saturday morning cartoon, I was there. I can't even remember the first ones that what got me hooked onto this. But Sci-Fi has always been considered a staple of children's shows, and it's been basically looked at something. Oh, it's for that kid stuff. I know my parents said that to me a number of times. So before even the Saturday mornings that we know from the 1950s on upwards, there was the Saturday afternoon serials that everybody knows. And these were done by the classics of Flash Gordon and Buck Rogers. There was a Shazam, Captain America, and so on. And you can find a lot of these old 1930s and 40s serials online on YouTube. I recommend you go see them. They are great. But these had a lot of adult fare, but as time went on, especially into the 1950s, they started becoming more and more considered as kids fare. But the first cartoon that was basically a science fiction one was an alien disguised as a human, and it was released in the theaters in 1941. Mark, could you please run that for me? That first clip?
Absolutely. I got to drop.
Terry, I don't think so, to be honest, if you read his note.
All righty. This is what you're talking about. Here we go.
Up in the sky, look!
It's a bird!
It's a plane! It's Superman! Faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound, this amazing stranger from the planet Krypton, the Man of Steel, Superman. Possessing remarkable physical strength, Superman fights a never-ending battle for truth and justice, disguised as a mild-mannered newspaper reporter, Clark Kent.
Okay. So there you have it. You have the Max Fleischer's Superman, considered one of the best Supermans of all time. Just a side note for Mark and Rose, those Supermans were made in Florida. Okay, the entire Fleischer, it turns out the entire Fleischer studio system from the Popeyes and everything else that we've talked about in the past were down in Florida.
Yeah, well, I didn't know that. That's an interesting fact. But you guys also do know that Superman was fashioned off of me. You under?
Okay, you're looking good for what, 80 years old?
Ooh, wow. Okay, carry on.
Now, again, Superman, people don't think of as science fiction, but if you do, he's an alien disguising himself as a human doing stuff, and then we brought in aliens. And you'll notice that there was no American way. That was added after the Second World War and into the Cold War. All right, so what we're going to look at next is we're going to look at the rest of it, the stuff that we all grew up in. And the very first real science fiction show was one we all talk about a lot on this show. So we're not going to really get into it, but there's a really cool one. It's the first family of the future, and that's the Jetsons. They were sort of the futuristic version of the Flintstones, and a lot of stuff that was on the Jetsons actually showed up in modern technology. We're still doing stuff like that. But this clip here is one of my favorites. We've done Jet Screamer. This is Jane Jetson does a really good sing. So, Mark, if you could run that one, please.
Miss Western Hemisphere!
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here in friendly Venus City. I hope someday you people will come down to Earth.
That voice!
I'm sure I've heard it before. Oh, nah, just wishful thinking, I guess.
I'd like to sing an old American folk ballad that's been handed down for generations. Hit it, fellas!
Oh, she's so sexy.
Won't you fly home, Bill Paisley? Won't you fly home? I'll miss you all day long. I'll push those buttons, darling, while you relax. I know I've done you wrong. Remember that rainy evening? You blasted off 1,000,000 miles apart. I know I've been mean, but please make the scene. Bill Paisley, won't you please fly home?
What a doll! She's got everything. Too bad all girls aren't like her. Oh, well, somebody's got to be in the PTA.
You're out there in space, but who knows what place? Bill Paisley, won't you please fly? Baby, won't you please try? Fly home, Bill, fly home.
It's planetary pandemonium up here, ladies and gentlemen. Miss Western Hemisphere has just stolen the show. Here she comes to receive the crown from the judge.
Of course, before we crown you, you must remove your mask.
All right, Mark, you can stop it at any time here.
We were totally unrecognizable without the
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah.
You know, it's that whole Superman thing. You know, and that's part of why I like that one.
That's a great clip, though. That's a great episode.
Yeah, I love that one.
Anytime any of the cartoons do music, you know,
Well, that's part of why I grabbed it. I figured Mark wasn't feeling good this week, so Mark needed some music.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if there's slime on the screen, it's snot. Just for warning. if anything's running down the screen, all right, I'm still kind of sickish.
Well, you know, we're getting to the point now where we're going to have a Rosie the Robot, and, you know, they have the Roomba. Now they just need a talking Roomba. You know
Okay,
what I'm saying?
I don't think I want a Rosie the Robot. I'm a single man. Thank you very much. Okay.
Yeah,
Thank
but
you
Rose, if you put your what is it? Either your iPad or for Alexa or your Google one, whatever that is, then it sort of bounds around and you can command it and talk to it like Rosie, right?
Yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah.
You know,
I think Rose would abuse that Rosie. I said, use this lemon fresh smell stuff, woman. Okay.
No. See, I can see Mark going, yes, get me a drink, will you? You know, he'd be doing treating them like butlers, you know?
Yeah, I probably would. Yeah.
Well, what's interesting though is that the Jetsons a lot of stuff. You know, Corey talked about flying cars. And quite frankly, I would be terrified of flying cars because we have enough problems. People can't, drive correctly on the roads, and that's only 2 dimensions. Imagine adding a 3rd dimension. But if you look at it, things that they talked about, they traveled in pneumatic tubes, which was kind of funny. But the stuff that we're doing right now is somewhat on the Jetsons. We're doing phone. We can now do video phone conferences over the internet. We are now doing what they call long distance learning, which is either on the computer or through the video conferencing functions that we're doing now. So you don't have to go to school or whatever. Computers are nothing more than push buttons, which is what George does. We have computers doing our work and in some cases taking our work from us. The only thing they haven't done yet is the Foodamatics that they have at the home. But if you look at it, a lot of stuff is there. They've even now have a machine that if you put your shirt in, not only will it clean it, it'll fold it for you right out of the Jetsons. So
I haven't seen that machine, but I want one. Okay.
I'll find it for you. I'll send you the link so you can get it there, Mr. Bachelor, you know.
Thank you, sir.
That way you don't have to take it to the fluff and fold every week.
Yes.
You know?
Fluff and flow? Oh, never mind. Anyway.
But that's the Jetsons. And the Jetsons really, while it was based off of 1950s science fictions, it's ironic that some of the stuff that we've seen is just now starting to come into the fold because of the way it looks. We love that retro aspect of it. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So the next,
horrible. That's a horrible thought.
yes, but he is right though. The U.S. Army is looking to do 3D printing of foods, and that has to deal with aspects of when you're in the field, you have sensors all over your body, and when you're in the field, what they'll do is instead of printing the way you're thinking of, it will mix certain electrolytes that your body may be running out of if you're out in the field carrying a pack and all that. And
whose toenail is this?
Okay. But if you're low on potassium or you're low on any of the other electrolytes, then they'll put extra into the food, your meal, basically, which would be they can make it like a cookie or something like that, and hence the soldiers will stay more they won't be malnutritioned. Okay.
Yeah, for a minute there, I was thinking that they were going to put a tube in their neck like the Jim Hadar.
Hey, that may be the next step. That may be the next start. And by the way, that was very good, Rose. Very good.
Proof. I love it to death. That's great.
Right. So our next one is one of Mark's favorites.
Yay! Oh, I'm sorry.
just a little excited.
Oh, you shouldn't have did this. This is what you're about to do now, dude.
All right. So if you look at this one, I'll just tell you, this is Space Ghost. And if you look at Space Ghost, okay, he's a superhero, but he's a superhero in outer space.
Yeah, so.
Okay, it makes it science fiction-y because one, he flies around in a spaceship. He's not really super powered. All of his stuff is technology based. Okay. He's sort of an Iron Man if you look at him.
That's okay.
And he's on some weird planet. Nobody knows his origin. Nobody knows what planet he's on. Okay. And this whole aspect of this. And he's got two annoying sidekicks. Yeah. I mean, really annoying.
And a monkey on his back.
Yeah, and a monkey on his back. Okay. But if you look at it, Space Ghost is the quintessential science fiction superhero. More so than the DC and Marvel ones. Simply because they do not even make a pretend as to being on Earth or anything. And to be honest, we don't even know if Space Ghost or the kids are human. They just look human.
Yeah.
Okay. So go ahead and run that clip.
Yeah, Jan's hot. She's just.
Yeah, you have problems.
She could be my that's true. I love this. Excuse me, why I fanboy. Oh my god! Oh my god! Makes my head spin.
Excellent. A signal from one of my cycloped sentinels. It has obviously seen something. I shall zero in for the range of its Itron beam. Aha! My cycloped sentinel is accurate as usual. A strange craft has invaded my space domain.
How much longer, Jace?
A little bit more of this fragment, Jan, and the hole could be fixed. There you are, just about done.
Hurry it up, Jace. We're late now.
Okay. Here, Blip, hold this a minute. Hey, watch it. That spray mat hardens its space. Here, give me the gun.
How fortunate for me and unfortunate for those strangers. New creatures for my laboratory experiments.
You're gonna get it.
To all safe.
Bastard! Quick, this way. Back to the entrance.
That's strange. It's a solid wall now.
Come on, maybe it's over here.
No good, Jace.
All right. So as you can see, he doesn't ask for directions.
Well, he's a kid.
Okay.
Go
ahead, Mark.
This music was shared between Johnny Quest and Space Ghost. If you recognize any of the music that you have.
Well, that was what I was going to bring up. Is that Space Ghost and Johnny came out at about the same time as Johnny Quest, about the same time as the Herculoids. Yep. They all came out from the same one, and I had to choose one that I thought was appropriate for the topic. I would love to have done Johnny Quest, but I felt he was more espionage than science fiction, even though there are a lot of science fiction elements in the Johnny Quest.
That is very true, and I think you picked you had a good thought there on that.
Yeah, I was going to do the Herculoids, but I couldn't find any really good clips.
Yeah, but
to be honest.
You gave me my number 2, so that's fantastic. Good job on that.
Now, the what's interesting about Space Ghost is while the show wasn't exactly super popular, it was popular with creative people because they not only did a new version of Space Ghost back in the 90s called Space Ghost Coast to Coast on the Cartoon Network, and it revitalized the character. People went back to find those 1960 cartoons, and there's even talk now of a live action Space Ghost movie.
Oh my God, man! I'm going to be first in line.
Yeah, well, you know, people.
I'm sorry, buddy. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, you know, people in Hollywood, you need to find out, sort of help write the storylines and stuff because you know all this stuff.
Well, they formulated Space Ghost off of me, right? You understand that?
Okay.
They molded my entire body. How uncomfortable that was in another region, but they kind of molded my entire body. And I objected to being painted white, but nonetheless, they kept my head.
No, that's not paint. That's that's a leotard type of thing.
They lied to me. They lied. They told me that look, we can't design a costume for you, so we're gonna have to. Okay. Anyway, here's some more.
There's the group. I'd better investigate. It's empty. Blip. Where are Jan and Jace? Where, Blip? I get the message, all right. Jan and Jace are in danger. Somewhere down there. Stay here, Blip. I'm going down. Great galaxy. What are those weird things?
Okay, I played half your 6-minute clip. Is that good?
That's okay. We're good. All right. So the next one that we're going to talk about.
I'm not ready yet, but hold on. Okay. All right. Keep talking. Go ahead.
Yeah, no. The next one we're going to talk about is a show called The Fantastic Voyage.
One of my favorites as well, by the way.
Yep, it was one of my favorites too, but it was only 17 episodes. And when I looked at the schedules of this show got bounced around a lot. Okay. It was Filmation. It was it was 1968. They were still struggling between science fiction, the superhero genres, and quite frankly, it went up against the Banana Splits and the Batman Superman Hour.
Oh wow!
Right. I mean, and for 2 years it did this, and so it was guaranteed to have low ratings. Okay, those were the two hot shows at the time because they were at 10 o'clock, 9:30 and 10 o'clock, and so it really didn't get the ratings. But this was the second cartoon show that was based off of a real live action movie. The first being Journey to the Center of the Earth. Okay. And if you listen to some of the music on this, okay, it's the same music that's later used in some of the Star Trek chase music in the animated show, since it was Filmation.
Right.
Go ahead and run the first clip, please.
Okay.
And yeah, there we go.
Love this music.
Headquarters. CMDF, Combined Miniature Defense Force. Project Fantastic Voyage. Process visualization. Authority, top secret, highest clearance. Team, Jonathan Kidd, Commander. Guru, Master of Mysterious Powers. Erica Lane, Doctor, Biologist. Cosby Birdwell, Scientist, Inventor, Builder of the Voyager. Mission? In their miniaturized form, to combat the unseen, unsuspected enemies of freedom. Time limit, 12 hours.
Okay, so there's your intro. Okay, of the of Fantastic Voyage. Now, what's interesting about this is that some of the changes from the movie. In the movie, they only had an hour, or they would start to get bigger. So they moved it to 12 hours in this sequence because they wanted to basically tell longer stories. And during the show, you would see those little triangles throughout the show as to how much time they had left to finish their assignment and get back to being or they would be stuck being small forever is what they implied. Okay. Now, it was let's see, where was I here? Hang on a second. So the stories were very much a la the Cold War. And they had a very serious Irwin Allen feel to them, very much like Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea, Time Tunnel, and all those. And if you watch it, you could see the influence heavily. And like I said, for me, this was one I wanted to see all the time, but because of where it was, and I had a younger brother, I had to sort of share the TV and everything else. Okay.
Right.
Yes, you're right, Corey. Ted Knight did the narration. He was
I
also
thought
some of the
so.
voices. Yeah. Terry, The Planet of the Apes is another movie animated adaptation. Yes, but that was in the 70s later on. Okay. They did a lot of rotoscoping on that, Terry, also. We'll talk about that on another show, but thank you for bringing that up. Do you guys have anything you want to add about Fantastic Voyage?
Oh, well, I remember the live action movie because it
Well,
wasn't.
who doesn't? It's Raquel Welch.
Yes, I was old. To be so young during that time and Raquel Welch be around, man, it's like, hey, that's what a woman looks like, And then to put her into a diving suit, made it even worse for us. I got through the movie. I just want to make everyone aware that, yes, I did make it through the movie. A Fantastic Voyage, but it was an incredible concept. I really like the originality of this thought that someone put into, hey, why don't we just inject people inside of other people? What? So I mean, it was a great concept. So I loved it. What'd you think, Rose?
I actually watched this movie as a high school project. And that scene with the antibodies attacking Raquel Welch, that just still freaks me out. It freaks me out.
Not attack.
But I never saw this cartoon. I didn't even know they made a cartoon. So
yeah, it's great.
Oh, yeah.
You can find all the episodes on YouTube. You really should check a couple of those episodes out.
I watched this alongside Voyage to the Journey to the Center of the Earth, the animated one as well, which were the same makers, the same music used,
same voices.
Background. Yeah.
Right. Now the beauty, the movie actually helped me with something when my father had a brain aneurysm.
Oh.
Okay. Cool. And when they looked at him and they said they had this forced joining of a vein and an artery, a la what happens in Fantastic Voyage, the movie.
Yes.
When they go into the heart. And me and the nurse were laughing because we understood it was, and the doctor goes, he had to go look it up.
Yeah.
So we told the doctor to go watch Fantastic Voyage.
Yeah, their mission, of course, and you know this, but their mission wasn't the heart. They just forgot to make a right at Albuquerque.
No.
And that's what happened. I'm telling you. No.
Well, that's why you don't have a rabbit as your navigator.
Yeah, I know that exists because I read The Onion, so I'm sure they had that. You had another clip you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, go ahead. The other clip, though, I need you to start like about 5 minutes in.
Okay, it's about 4:57 based on your text.
Yeah, 5 minutes, 4:57. If you get close, you're good.
Okay, let's see what we got here.
Ready for miniaturization, Mr. Kidd? Yes, sir. And your passenger?
I still don't see why we have to take him along.
Because we'll be safer where we can keep an eye on him.
Don't be too sure, Mr. Kidd.
Activate process. Miniaturization complete. Full process. Activate beam.
Well, here we go again.
Can you get one of those cracks, Bucky?
I'll try.
Harvey, slow up.
I can't. It's being pulled by something. Ooh, wow. Oh, that was too close. Hey, who turned out the lights?
What's happening?
I don't know.
Fools!
Okay, you can stop at any point here.
Yeah, I was just about. Go ahead, buddy.
Yeah, so the point I wanted to show on this clip was the miniaturization and the fact that instead of being a sub, it's a flying sub, a la Irwin Allen in Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea.
Right.
This one, they're going into a magic crystal ball, so we had a little mysticism in there. Yeah, it got silly fast, you know?
Wow. Hey, that's interesting what Cheryl just posted. Yeah, I wouldn't mind walking through. That's why you're so good at breaking hearts, woman. Anyway,
So this was definitely a favorite. Like I said, only 17 episodes. Rose, you can find they're all on YouTube. I went through a number of them when I prepped for this show, and I tell you, I got sucked into so many of them so quickly. All right, now the next one, we take a jump into what was going on in the world. In the 1970s, the world started noticing pollution and smog and stuff, really started noticing it and started doing something about it. Okay. And the environmental movement really started kicking in hard back then. That's when Earth Day started and stuff like that. So Hollywood, of course, followed suit. And for those of us that remember, I don't know if you remember, Mark, do you remember watching the Jacques Cousteau specials on TV?
Oh, I love Jacques Cousteau.
Right, so did I. I mean, I loved all of those. I thought they were fascinating. He was an old guy even back then. And so what did Hollywood do? Hollywood did C-Lab 2020. Now, this show ran for one season, and it was rerun for about 3 or 4 years. But unfortunately, the modern audience only knows it as C-Lab 2021, which was a parody done on the Cartoon Network.
Yes.
If you go back and watch the actual show talks about some real environmental aspects about using the sea to live, for food sources and stuff like that. And they also dealt really strongly with negative environmentals, polluters and people who exploit the resources versus using them in a more natural way. And that was where their strongest points were that stuck in my mind as a kid watching this show. I thought it was a lot of fun. I learned about the bends from watching this show, learned a lot about, regulators and stuff like that, as much as I did on Jacques. If you want to run that clip, which is nothing more than the opening, that gives you a feel for what this show was about.
Yeah, and if I can add to this, I listen to the music in this, and you guys know how I am on music soundtracks. In the 60s, when they were doing Johnny Quest and other shows, and that was all jazz-oriented kind of music, we're in the 70s now, and I think they did an excellent job with the music in this opener here. So just listen to this and enjoy.
This is the year 2020. The place is the Challenger Seafront, the top of an underwater mountain. A complex beneath the sea. 250 men, women, and children live here, each of them a scientist pioneer. For this is our last frontier, a hostile environment which may hold the key to tomorrow. Each day, these oceanauts meet new challenges as they build their city beneath the sea. This is C-Lab 2020.
Wow, how important was that?
So here we are in 2020 right now. I want to know where C-Lab is.
Exactly.
If you look at this one, that opening, for any science fiction kid that's in it, anywhere between say 9 and 12, that's going to suck you in right away. You want to know more about that. And again, Irwin Allen, because in the 1970s, he did a pilot movie called City Beneath the Sea.
Yes.
But I
remember that. Yes.
Now, for Mark, I just want you to notice that Race Bannon is the head of C-Lab.
Yes, he is. I noticed that. I'm like, what the hell?
Now, Rose, did you ever see this one?
No, I never did.
Wow.
Nope.
Yeah, you really should. Now they had some serious science flaws. Okay, you don't go to the bottom of the ocean and then go to the top of the ocean without having some pressure issues.
Right, exactly.
And they did that a couple of times where you're just kind of shaking your head, going, "You got to be kidding me!" Okay, even as a kid. I mean, I was like about 72. I was 9 years old when I saw this, and I'm going, "No." I watched Jacques Cousteau.
I still think C-Lab will show up, especially tomorrow. If you know any significance to tomorrow.
What? That it's Super Bowl Sunday?
No, it's a date that if you go both forward and backwards, you'll still get 02.
Yep.
What the hell's the date? 02,
2020. Yeah.
02, 02, 20, 20. You do that backwards, and you got the same thing.
Yeah. It's also Groundhog Day.
Yeah. 02, 02, 20, 20. Yes. Yeah, I saw my shadow. Get it?
Yeah. Yeah. So if Mark sees his shadow, he'll run away and hide for another 6 weeks. So you really need to go see this one, Rose. That, like I said, it was very strong on. I mean, they were not even hiding their environmental credentials on this one. They were basically anybody who did anything against the oceans. This show chastised.
She wasn't watching this because that was during her boyfriend days. She was at the mall drinking a shake.
Oh yeah, she went to the Orange Julius part, right? Yeah.
Orange Julius, very good.
Arby's.
Thank you. There you go.
Big date spot.
Yeah. So this was this show was like I said, this was really influential in that as a Panadrome. Thank you, Corey. But as a science fiction show, this one actually had a lot of influence because even though they had some science flaws like we discussed, it was also very solid on the science too. And so it got a lot of people to start thinking and talking, because I know when I was a kid, when this show was on, suddenly we started talking to our science teachers saying, "Hey, what about this?" Okay, at least in the school I was in. I don't know about you, Mark.
Well, we won't talk about that, but okay.
All right, so let's go on to... Yeah, go ahead, Mark.
No, next, I was going for you. Go ahead.
Yeah, the next one, it's a classic. Okay, I can't say anything more than that. And simply put, it's my personal favorite of this whole thing. It's Star Trek: The Animated Series. Came out in 1973. Now, the funny thing about this, there's kind of a stories behind the scenes about the voice work. Walter Koenig was not invited back as one of the voice actors, but Leonard Nimoy fought for him, and the Walter ended up writing a couple of stories on this show. So he got some involvement in it. This show for years was not considered part of the Star Trek canon. Okay. But as time has been going on, more and more people are realizing that it really is part of the canon, as part of like year 4 or year 5 of the 5-year mission. This is where we got the T to stand for Tiberius. Okay, that's where we found out that the James T. Kirk stands for James Tiberius Kirk, and a number of other aspects. We got an introduction to whole new aliens that were later seen in the movies and Next Gen and everything else. Some serious science fiction writing was done here. David Gerrold came back and did another Tribbles episode. Larry Niven did his Kazin creatures from the Man Kazin Wars were used in this. We really got a better understanding of Spock's past through an episode that we're going to show a clip on. And this clip had a huge influence, if you watch carefully, between that and the J.J. Abrams movie, where we see a young Spock. You can see almost complete similarities. So, Mark, if you could please run that clip, please.
Absolutely. Come back. Oops.
Personal log, stardate 5373.5. Subjective time. I have returned to the past in an attempt to restore the future. I am home, and I have almost forgotten its beauty.
Earther, barbarian, emotional, Earther. You're a true Spock. You could never be a true Vulcan.
He's fat.
Not true. My father, your father was shades of Vulcan.
Fat bully.
He married a human.
Get him.
You haven't even mastered a simple Vulcan yet.
regret you are witness to that unfortunate display of emotion on the part of my son.
In the family, all is silence. No more will be said of it. Live long and prosper, Sarika Vulcan.
Peace and long life. You are of my family.
My name is Selleck, an humble cousin descendant of Tipel and Sasak. I am journeying to the family shrine to honor our gods.
You have a long way to go. Will you break your journey with us for a while, cousin?
I am honored. Is something wrong, cousin?
No. It was only that it seemed I know you.
A family resemblance to our forefathers, no doubt.
No doubt. Well, come then. Allow me to welcome you to my home. Spock. Spock, being Vulcan means following disciplines and philosophies that are difficult and demanding of both mind and body.
Yes, Father.
You constantly display your emotions. You have even been seen fighting in the street.
Yes, Father.
The time draws near when you will have to decide whether you will follow Vulcan or human philosophy. Vulcan offers much. No war, no crime, order, logic, and control in place of law, emotions, and instinct. Once on the path you choose, you cannot turn back.
Yes, Father.
I hope you were not disturbed by my son's behavior.
You can stop it here.
No, my Lady Amanda.
Okay, so as you can see, just from that scene right there with Spock and his father, that's almost right out of. He took that right and put it into 2009 Star Trek episode.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So almost word for word, to be honest.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
Corey brought up a point about this, that they faced on this one some serious adult, themes on this show. And the beauty of this was, and this was the same thing on C-Lab also, was they didn't dumb it down. Okay, these were not dumbed down. These were dealt towards an older audience, and even the younger kids, like my daughter, has watched some of these with me, and she's only 6, and she gets it. And that's what I loved about what Filmation did with their science fiction, was no dumbing down to the kids.
Yep.
Did you guys have anything you want to say about the Star Trek one?
Well, for me, I really remembered back this series when watching the Star Trek reboot for the first time, and pretty much seeing a scene with the young Spock in relationship to his dad and communication. And I'm saying, oh, okay, they're taking this off the animated series, and it was nice that, in fact, the animated series embellished, but in relation to classic Trek, they talked about his pet, Ceylon, I think it was called.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, and when Dr. McCoy was making fun of Spock about, oh, you had a pussy cat or something like that, and he's saying, or a teddy bear or something like that, yeah, with 6-inch claws or something. And I'm like, oh, good, we get to actually see one. Oh, look, there's one laying next to him. So it's great that the canon still stood throughout the series, and even the reboot. So I'm happy about that.
Yeah, the Tribble episode was really good too.
Yeah, I haven't seen a lot of it. It came out, I was very young. So I've only seen a couple of episodes, but
you were young with boys. Yeah, okay.
No,
anyway.
not that young. No, I was like little.
Well, Rose, as a matter of fact, I know you get CBS All Access. I think it's either on Netflix or on CBS All Access.
CBS All Access, yes.
It's 22 half-hour episodes. And I tell you, the quality is pretty much stable through the entire 22 episodes. Yeah, there were a couple of episodes that were some misfires, but on a whole, the quality of the storytelling, yeah, it's not the level of animation that we know in the 2020s, because we're looking at something that's almost 40 years old animation wise. So you're going to see some reusing of motions and stuff like that, but the storytelling was rock solid.
The storytelling was, and as you guys know how big I am on story, the story's got to be good before I even like it. And this animated series, even though you had some revisits, not reboots, but some revisits, was phenomenal. It was fantastic.
What was it? Thursday night you were talking with Rod.
Yeah.
Okay, Rod Roddenberry. And he was talking about this show also. and he was saying how quality was, and he loved it even as a kid. And he's Gene's kid, and he wasn't a big Star Trek fan, and he liked it.
It would be great if we could have him on Saturday morning cartoons for this episode, but we're going to have to move our start time.
Yeah, well, we'll figure something out. We'll talk about that off air. All right. So, does anybody want to add anything more about Star Trek?
No, that's it. It was just phenomenal animated series. I mean, it won awards. So, what more accolades can you give this series? It was just incredible.
Apparently, there's a new Blu-ray release of it that cleaned up some of the animation. It's supposed to be really, really good. So,
cool.
All right. So the next one that we're gonna talk about came out in '74. It's sort of become iconic for a variety of silly reasons, but it's The Land of the Lost.
Yes.
Okay. Now, this one was created by Star Trek writer David Gerrold, even though he didn't get credit. Okay. He does talk about it. If you get a chance to talk with him about it, he'll tell you all sorts of really good stories. And listen to what the man has to say, because he knows what he's talking about being there. But if you look at it, there's some serious questions, science fiction stuff going on. Here you've got a destroyed civilization. That's the Silly Stack. That's basically devolved. Okay. You've got a primitive tribe, which was Paku's people. Chaka. There he goes. Chaka. There it is. That's the name I can't remember. And of course, we've got dinosaurs. You got to have dinosaurs in the 1970s. And what's interesting is as they try to find their way back to their world, they went through a dimensional rift, and you can see three moons you can see at one point.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, a lot of moons.
So you know that you're not on Earth. Is that they can't quite figure out how to run the alien technology, the Silly Stack technology, which is very science fiction-y because they don't speak the language, and the technology is so far advanced of what they know that they have no idea of what they're playing with. So what do? They start pushing buttons or moving things around, and what happens causes more trouble than it's worth. Okay. So here we have some solid science fiction themes. The problem is we had these dopey kids that were leading the whole thing instead of having the father lead it and the kids following. So then, of course, due to some monetary issues in, I think it was the second or third season, third season, the father basically walked away. The actor walked away, and then they brought in the uncle who was on a search for them, and the quality kind of went downhill after that. Yeah. So, do you guys have any thoughts on Land of the Lost? And do you want to run that clip?
Land of the Lost is probably the only or one of the many theme songs out there that you could start off that everybody in a crowd in a bar starts singing. They just never get past the name of the people. They start going, so you hear Marshall, Will, and Howdy. And then they all go, makes me want to hold up some cue cards to an entire bar and say, get it right this time. So that's what I know. What do you know, Rose?
I loved Land of the Lost. It was one of the shows I tried to make sure to watch every Saturday morning. It was kind of scary for me. I was very young when it was out. But I also, was always on the edge of my seat thinking that they were in real peril at some times, and those Silly Stack were really scary.
And Corey said that the end of the opening credits used to scare the crap out of him. So let's see exactly how much crap is going to be coming out of him this time.
This is only the opening. This is not the end.
Marshall, Will, and Holly on the routine expedition that the greatest earthquake ever known. High on the rapids, it struck their tiny
That's a bathtub. That's a bathtub.
Down 1,000 feet below to the land of the lost.
Lost. Lost. us, find us, find us, find us, find us, find us, find us. Here it comes. Ah! Ah!
Yeah, that
Corey,
was.
you wimp. You are such a wimp.
No, I tell you, when you first saw that as a kid, it was a little frightening. You know.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I didn't see his tonsil, so I knew it was fake.
What was funny though is that I was as a kid, I was a scout, and I looked at some of the equipment that they had, and I'm going, I could relate because as a scout, I'm going, hey, I know that you're using that equipment wrong, you know, So
yeah.
But if you look at the only thing I had a problem with was the sleeve stack were just too dang slow.
I know.
You know, you could get away from the sleeve stack pretty easily. You know, if you got caught by the sleeve stack, it means you weren't paying attention.
Oh,
you know?
you're a bad athlete if a sleeve stack.
Now, of course, you know that's because of production values. I mean, if you look at it, there's a lot of what they call green screen or matte paintings on that. The rapids as they go down is just a little tiny stream.
Oh my God! You know? Look at that. Somebody ran the garden hose. Hey,
exactly. But what was interesting was the matte paintings were really solid on those. If you looked at it, they really had some good alien, destroyed civilization feels to them, and they fell into the 19. Since this was what did I say? 1975. This followed a lot of the 1970s mysticism of alien technology and stuff like that you see in some of the Hollywood stuff from that time frame. You can see the Land of the Lost and the destroyed civilization of the Slee Stack, and their head of the elders. They kept a bunch of the heads to consult them, and that was followed similar to a lot of other adult science fiction movies of the time doing the same thing. So, all right. Anything? Oh, and there was a horrible remake movie. The less said, the better. Yeah, it was. The ironic part is it had a couple of good points, but they couldn't seem to get the whole story together into something that was decent.
I hate when they take these shows from the 70s and try to make comedies out of them when they're not supposed to be comedy.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm going off page here for a minute, but on Rose's point, I have a very, very favorite, not Irwin Allen movie. I don't know who made that. I forgot. It's somebody important, but a very, very famous movie that I happen to love, and it's called The Mysterious Island.
Oh, yes.
And then
that's a Hammer film.
Yes, and I wanted to choke the Rock's version of Mysterious Island because it was nothing like the original. And I implore people that if only you've seen The Mysterious Island with the Rock in it, please go backwards for me to a more quality film and watch the original H.G. Wells' Mysterious Island, because I just happen to hate that. Okay, I'm back on topic now.
So that one was a good one. Okay, so the next one that I want to talk about is one that was a comedy, but had a lot of solid science fiction themes in it. Unfortunately, it dumbed it down horribly. I mean, really,
I'm seriously wondering about the person that chose this one too, in terms of dumbing.
Yeah, but no, but I went back and as I was doing the research on this, the question that I looked at was, okay, so we've got the high quality that we've been talking about. Star Trek, Land of the Lost, Fantastic Voyage. We got to go to the other end. We got to have one at the other end.
This is to accommodate the other half of our audience. Is that what you're trying to say?
No. I'm saying is you've had the good. Now you got to have we've had some bad. Now we got to have the ugly.
Dumb first. You mentioned dumb. Okay.
Yeah. It was dumb.
Back it up. Why don't you?
All right. So what we're talking about is the Lost Saucer. Okay.
We don't want to, but okay.
Now the Lost Saucer had Ruth Buzzy and Jim Neighbors in it. And the funny thing, though, is if you go back and you strip down the stupidity of some of it, okay, the themes of what they were discussing on some of these were pretty good. They talked about racism in a dumb way. If you didn't have polka dots on your face, you were less than a person. Identity, exactly from Star Trek. If they on one episode you didn't show your face, your number was your name. So it dealt with questions about identity. Okay. There was questions about labor relations. Were the androids self-sufficient or were they slave labor? Okay. And if you think about it from a science fiction point of view, these are rock solid themes. Okay. The problem is, Corey's right. It was campy as hell. And if they had not dumbed down the show, I think the show could had a potential to be a lot better than it was. Potential.
I like Lost Sauce for Mark. I liked it.
Oh, Rose, I'm so sorry. I was beating up on one of your one of your favorite shows. My apologies.
Mark, why don't you as a favor to Rose, why don't you run that clip?
Do I have to?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. I'll put you in the liver.
I think it got lost. Oh, okay. All right. I'm gonna hate you for this.
Out of the sky, out of time, coming to see all that they can find. UFO, flying fun, they go to the moon now, they get to the sun. Please, please take me along. Now listen, future time, they came to see.
What the hell is that?
Half dog, half horse.
Inside, they can't get off of this crazy ride. Please, please, someone help us. Oh, where are we going in the lost saucer? Somebody help us in the lost saucer. Where are we going in the lost saucer? Somebody help us in the lost saucer. Where are we going?
The Doors?
The Doors, half dog, half horse. All right.
Oh.
So let me ask you this, Mark.
You have to?
Yeah, no, wait a minute.
Okay.
So if we had gotten rid of the Ruth Buzzy character, right?
Yeah.
And we changed and we made Jim Neighbors more human, and we changed the Lost Saucer into this square blue box.
I was thinking the same thing.
What are you talking about? You lost me.
It's very much like Doctor Who.
Oh, well.
Okay, so
they have the companions on board.
Yeah.
It's a time travel machine they can't, control as well,
Yeah, okay.
So look, I mean, if you think about it, okay, look at this. Okay, so you've got very much a Doctor Who theme going here. Okay, it's dumbed down for kids, which I thought was it was too dumbed down, to be honest. Sid and Marty just didn't know how far down to go. They went to the very bottom. But if you were to remake this today for this, okay, you make the two androids look more like Data.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And
right.
then you basically raise up the quality of the writing. You can still deal the same themes as to what they've done. It would be a quality science fiction show today that we'd be praising.
If you say
It's just that the quality, the production values, because it was Sid and Marty, was so low and so cheap that we talk about how horrible it was. But if you look at it, the potential was there.
If you say so.
Yeah, Mark, you really need to start looking beyond, the surface level.
All right. One step beyond.
Yeah, sure. Okay. All right. The next one is one of my favorites. Okay. I love this one. Yeah. This is Flash Gordon. Now, I'm a big movie serial fan from way back, and Filmation did a pilot film for Flash Gordon called Flash Gordon: The Greatest Adventure, and it was designed to basically showcase this, and they were going to run it, and it ran actually a year after the show got canceled. Okay, and you can't find it anywhere on DVD. It was never released. You can find a Japanese subtitled version on YouTube, so I recommend you go find it. Basically, it is the story of the first season. Now, the first season of Flash Gordon follows the traditional serial aspect where you have a cliffhanger at the ending, and they talk about, and it's done in the format of the traditional Flash Gordons from the 1930s. The quality was good. It doesn't look as cheap because with animation, you can have the Birdmen actually flying. You can have your aliens look like aliens. Your spaceship's flying, and you're not seeing the strings and the sparklers shooting out the end. This made it actually look more science fiction-y. And as you can see, it got adult a couple of times from this picture that Mark is now showing us.
I picked that for a reason.
All right. And there was aspects of this show, they did tone down the sexuality of it, but in the movie was actually designed for more adult fare because they actually had some pretty high levels of sexuality in there. But this is a really good one. Why don't you go ahead and run that clip and just run it till about the first minute and a half or so.
All right.
This is really good. This is the opening for episode 1.
And a minute now. The
Yeah.
hell?
Well, it helps if you hit the start button.
Yeah, I did too.
Blasting off on a desperate mission to save Earth from the evil plottings of the tyrannical space lord Maine the Merciless. Dr. Hans Zarkov and Dale Arden have joined me, Flash Gordon, on a fantastic journey into worlds where peril and adventure await us.
Yeah, keep going for another, another
Are you
30
looking
seconds.
more?
Yeah, the next 30 seconds.
Flash, Dale, and Zarkov have set out for Mongo on a mission of mercy to prevent the impending collision between Earth and the mysterious comet world. But as their rocket ship enters the atmosphere of the alien planet, there is an unprovoked attack which destroys the guidance system, plummeting them toward unknown dangers below. And now, Chapter 1, A Planet in Peril.
Okay, now you can stop it. Okay, Sam Peoples was also a Star Trek the Animation writer also. Okay.
Oh, cool.
Now, what's interesting about this is as you notice there, what I showed you on that last 30 seconds was a recap of the previous episode type of thing, which you would have gotten in the 1930 serial as a scroll, much like Star Wars opening. Okay. So the first season was done as a serial. You had to watch the next episode with a cliffhanger. And that's what gave that the strength of that show. And then the second season, because it was a serial, the studios and the networks didn't want serials, so it became episodic. And quite frankly, I felt that the quality of the storytelling dropped dramatically. Okay. This one, to me, was really was must-see television because of the serial aspect of it. I loved it a lot. Yeah.
I never saw it, but it looks really good. It looks like really good quality. I've always loved the story of Flash Gordon. Not so much the 1980 movie that's just kind of campy, but
and the Sci-Fi Channel series.
I liked that
the better.
show.
Oh, that was horrid.
I liked that show so much. I was so sad when it got canceled.
What show are we talking about? I'm sorry.
Flash Gordon, the Flash Gordon from like it was in the 1990s, I think.
Yeah.
The
on
movie?
Sci-Fi. No, it was a TV show on Sci-Fi Channel.
Yeah.
Oh.
I think it ran 13 episodes, maybe.
Yeah, it was a season, and but I really enjoyed it. I like the concept. I think it's something they need to be bringing back again.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. All right, we are.
Yeah,
we are down. By the way, Garrett, man, that last one you typed, that was too long for me to put up on the screen. There's a lot going on in your comment there, so you might have to shorten them up a bit so I can show them to the world for you.
Basically, he's saying that that treat the source material better.
Yeah.
But you know why they probably went to episodic, right? Because that way, if they serial, like if it went into syndication, they could show it in whatever order,
Exactly.
And it doesn't make for good storytelling. It's just a convenience for the networks, at the time.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. The problem with this is again, because it was more adult fare, they moved it into the later time slots. Okay. And I don't know about you, but I watched this. This came out in 79. Okay. I'm a teenager. I'm about 16-ish about that time frame. Okay.
Yeah.
At noontime on Saturday, I'm out the door.
Right.
I'm not watching this.
You're going to go do something.
That's what I was about to mention, was the fact that a lot of these type of shows came on so late in the afternoon. They know that, okay, well, younger kids are going to run out the door and most kids are going to run out the door. There really wasn't any programming after 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Right.
In the news, I think NBC was running stuff. So you got a lot of news anthology programs that were popping in. All right, we're hitting on our last one group, and bear in mind, I like Jerome has said, and we all agreed that this doesn't cover all the sci-fi that came on back then, but it was the fact that this is his favorite, this is his list, this is his show. He didn't have Herculoids in there. He didn't
I
have.
had to make a choice.
He didn't have the two little kids who were freaking swimming around in the ocean with a giant freaking white whale. I mean, he didn't have that one either.
Moby Dick, nope, didn't want that one. No.
But he did include this one.
Okay, why don't you run the opening credits for it? Well, then we'll come back and talk on the other side.
Okay.
Number 11.
Open credits. Whoops, wait a minute. Boy, if no one knew that sound, it just peeked in there for a sec before I froze it, then you're insane. You got me off guard here. Hold on for a sec. Let me get it.
This is one of my favorites. I love this show. Okay.
I did too. The animation wasn't the best, but it's like the writing again.
I love the animation, and we'll talk about the animation in a minute because there's some side notes you really need to pay attention to on this.
All right. All right, so let's go for it. Here comes that sound that everyone will recognize immediately.
Thundar, the Barbarian.
That announcer is so excited.
Year 1994. From out of space comes a runaway planet, hurtling between the Earth and the Moon, unleashing cosmic destruction.
That was the Galactica.
Man's civilization is cast in ruin. 2,000 years later, Earth is reborn. A strange new world rises from the old. A world of savagery, super science, and sorcery. But one man bursts his bonds to fight for justice. With his companions, Uplo the Mock and Princess Ariel, he pits his strength, his courage, and his fabulous sun sword against the forces of evil. He is Thundar, the Barbarian.
I think that's how a Wookiee should have been.
Yes, well, that was the thing. So first off, for those who want more information, there's a documentary about Thundar out there.
What?
Yes, it's called. Hang on a second here. It's called Lords of Light, which was what Thundar always would go. Lords of Light, he'd always shout. And it's about 20, 30 minutes long, and it's surprisingly intriguing that Jack Kirby was brought in during development.
Yes.
Okay. This
art.
Yeah. This whole thing was created by Steve Gerber, a known comic book artist. They got Roy Thomas, Jerry Conway, and Mark Evner, all serious comic book writers and artists, to do the art and the writing on this show. Okay. And then you got the King himself coming in and doing sketch work. He couldn't stay for whatever reasons they talk about in the documentary. But this is why the animation on this was really good, especially the background stuff where you've got images of the former civilization, because you had real comic book artists and writers involved in this. And that's why this thing was so solid. The problem is Thundar was always put on at 12:30 in the afternoon. It was never put on a decent time slot.
Right.
Okay.
What year did this come out?
1980.
Really?
Yeah.
All this, Rose.
This show I have never seen.
Okay. All right. So the problem, Rose, is this. Due to the IP, the intellectual property aspect of this, you cannot get most of the shows on the internet on this one. Okay. You might be able to find one or two out there to see what's going on.
Man, who's holding that back, Jerome? Who's holding that back?
I think it would probably be Warner Brothers. I think they're the ones who did it, but I'd have to look into it. But it's all available on DVD. Okay. And I'm betting certain websites might have it.
Right.
Okay.
Sure.
Yes, you are. Who said that? Who said that? Everett.
You said it.
No, but I'm reading here Everett about Alex Toth. Yes, they were designed, but they were but Kirby left and basically recommended that Evner and Gerber come in, and then Roy Thomas and Jerry Conway came in and did some writing and some other animation. Like I said, go watch the documentary. I just went nuts watching that documentary.
Oh, I gotta find it.
Oh yeah, it's wonderful. But what was funny is that you can see certain influences. I mean, Star Wars, huge on this one. Okay. I mean, the Sun Sword. Come on. You know,
Hey,
don't tell me that's a lightsaber.
That guy whose head rotated on his neck creeped
Gemini.
me.
Gemini.
Let me tell you, I see a lot of shades of He-Man, which came after
Right,
from the
right.
opening of this.
Right.
Yeah.
And also there was an artist, a known artist, and if you go look up Frank Frazetta.
Frank Frazetta, of course.
Right.
The classic.
And the other thing is the Pulp Fiction of the 1940s and 1930s and 40s. And if you look at Thundar himself, before the movie, Robert E. Howard's Conan.
Yes.
Okay,
Exactly.
you can see Conan there big time. Okay.
Hey, I got the second clip ready.
Yeah, go ahead and run the second clip.
I don't know what the instructions were on this, but I'll just go ahead and
Just run the whole thing. You can run the whole thing.
Yeah, it is. It's short enough. And did he just fart?
We can't speak for the Manhans, Thundar. It must be their choice.
Gemini means what he says. The danger is great. Refuse him. The answer is no! Very well, if that is your choice.
I am the power! I am the power!
Don't worry, we can play rock too.
It's like a Studio 54 pose.
It's made of metal! It's not alive! How can it move?
Is that a steel beam just stuck in the ground?
Yeah. 2,000 years ago.
I hit you with my steel beam.
That thing is so big!
No, I was going to rebuild that city.
I ask you a final time. Will you allow all these humans to pay for your folly, or will you surrender the power?
Those aren't real sandals.
The power!
Uh-oh, look out.
What happened?
The pearl's power canceled out Gemini sorcery.
Say that fast 3 times.
Is over for now.
Okay, so there you go. Okay, yeah, you're right, Terry. They fit perfectly in Masters of the Universe. But if you look at it, I mean, the quality of that art was right there. You know,
Yeah, it looks really good.
and the storytelling was right out of, like I said, right out of the Pulp Fiction eras. I mean, 2,000 years in the future. I mean, Terry Brooks kind of wrote something about this with his sort of something series. I can't think of what it was.
Mhm.
But this really had a lot of science fiction to it, and I really wish it had been a better slot because you could have gotten more series on this because it was a lot of fun. It really was.
I really did like the series too. It was one of the cool ones. One of the ones I would watch just as much as I would watch Johnny Quest. No, that's a lie. Anyway, so it was still a fun series, Thundar the Barbarian.
My favorite episode, which I cannot find online, was one where they went back in time before the disaster happened.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
Yeah, and that was interesting. They had to go back in time to get some sort of circuit or something to help fight whatever. And thank you, Everett. The question is do you tell the kid that's helping you that they're about to die because of the upcoming disaster?
I don't like kids. Yes.
Yeah, but the point, but I mean, think about that. If you were to go back and deal with, something in, say, a couple hundred years ago, and say Chicago, you're about to die. Why? There's going to be this big fire. You should leave now. Do you tell them or do you leave it?
Who would believe you? Who are you, sir? Okay, another naysayer. Where's your sign? The end is nigh. The end is nigh.
Well, that's a theme that you see in a lot of kind of science fiction shows. Though they did something similar to that on Doctor Who with Pompeii.
Exactly. Funny. Actually, I've seen that. There's an episode in the Twilight Zone, similar idea about going back in time and stopping the assassination of Lincoln.
Oh yes,
You
I
know?
remember that one.
So,
Yep.
so,
Yep.
but Thundar, it was interesting. Is a combination of, like they said, super science and magic. Okay, and that mashup was just starting in the 1980s, and we've seen a lot of it in general science fiction now. As a matter of fact, Everett talked about the Sword of Shannara. That was an MTV did that as a TV series.
All I saw was a sword of Shana Na, and I'm like,
Yeah,
what?
I know. But it's a mashup. Yes, there you go, Corey. That is correct. Okay. But it again, simply because of the quality of the people behind the scenes, that's why this show really worked, in my opinion.
No, it was a great series.
Yeah, Rose, I really wish we could somehow get hold of some copies for you. I think you would love this, considering what you write and everything else. Yeah, it was fun. And what was funny was the princess was never the damsel in distress situation. More than one occasion, she's saving those guys.
Yeah, she can handle her own.
Yeah. Now, granted, she was rescued by Thundar as part of her backstory, for whatever reason. But beyond that, she was the intellectual. She was smarter than these guys, and she had power. And that's what I liked about it.
Yeah, I'm looking at this clip that I just put up, and all I can think of is, I'm not getting off the couch. No, you can't make me. You can't make me.
My friend Chuck goes a little Planet of the Apes feel to it too. Yeah, it did.
Yeah,
it did have that.
He's right on that. Yes, it has a very, very heavy Planet of the Apes feel on it.
Yeah.
But that's awesome. Wow, Jerome, you did great, man.
Thank you.
Great show.
So I would like to see us do another one of these, but to do that, we need the Kartoon Krew to tell us which shows we should take a look at.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, put up some suggestions. Suggestions.
Suggestions.
Yeah, we would love your ideas on future episodes.
Yes, definitely would. It would be great because there's so much sci-fi shows out there. I didn't see Partridge Family 20, 40.
No, you didn't. You didn't see the Space Academy or Jason of Star Command on there, which I considered, but
thank you on that. We don't plan on seeing Jason of Space Academy or okay, whatever.
Yeah, there were more to be done that I didn't get into, simply because of the time frame that we usually have of an hour and a half.
Right.
You know.
You did this in good time. You did it in an hour and 15. So that's pretty cool. But this is what our show is about. So what is that? What is this? Court says she could read. Her father had an encyclopedia. She mentions who?
Oh, she could read, and her father had an encyclopedia.
Oh,
that she mentions at more than one time. Sort of quoting from the Britannica.
Got it. That's in the episode when they went back and talking about it.
Not just that, but other times also. Corey's right.
What was her name anyway?
Princess Ariel.
Princess Ariel. Okay.
The Little Mermaid.
I was dating a girl named Ariel during the time when that was coming out. So that was kind of, I didn't piss her off. So Mike makes a good point. Yes, that's definitely sci-fi with Marine Boy, as well as fits into the Japanese anime realm as well. But yes, it was definitely sci-fi.
Mm-hmm. I mean, superheroes by themselves could be considered at some point science fiction, but I didn't want to get too deep into that. I mean, Superman is obviously, the early stuff is some solid science fiction,
right?
But on a whole, because the Green Lantern, obviously, and some of the other stuff. But I really wanted to focus on our science fiction aspects that were not superheroes.
Sure, and that's a part 2. And as soon as we get rid of our audience here, and we're going to confer about next week. There may be some part 2s that need to come up for other stuff that we've done in the past. So this was great. You did a great job.
Thank you.
I'm proud of you. You really did your homework. You really did your homework on this.
I got to be honest. What I love about our show here is that when we, the fact that the 3 of us do different shows, the research that we get to do for this show is a lot of fun.
It is.
And you get, and the problem though, and Rose, you can attest to that, you start going down rabbit holes.
Yeah.
You never really want to come out because you're watching episodes, you're watching more stuff, you're getting deep into it. It's a lot of fun, and I just want to say to Mark and Rose, thank you for letting me be one of your co-hosts.
That's not bad. I didn't want that to start yet.
Thank you for letting me be a co-host with you guys. This has been fun.
You've got such a wealth of knowledge.
I couldn't think of anybody else. Well, wait a minute. There's at least two. Honestly, couldn't really think of anybody else I'd like to have co-hosting these shows. This is fun, guys. I don't want anyone to lose track of your youth, and your youth includes Saturday morning cartoons, and we're trying to cover that hole for you. Only because we can, and we got the technology these days. We couldn't do this 5 years ago, or even 10 years ago. We couldn't do stuff like this. Now we can, and oh, great! Our parent company here, HWWS WebTV.
Oh, the villains!
We're going to be showing the villains later today, so you can go on the YouTube channel or go to the HWWS Facebook page, guys. You guys need to join that. Get on that and take a look at it. It lists everything of not just us as producers of Saturday morning cartoon, but producers of other types of shows and formats.
There's a lot of great shows on there.
I gotta admit, I've been watching the cooking show. It's been kind of fun.
Why? I mean,
because I like to cook.
Well, I like to cook too. I just can't. And don't
well,
say,
we know that.
We're watching a cooking show. No, are you kidding me? It's too much to watch as it is on TV. I can't keep up with nothing. So I just
Mark, I'm gonna come down to your house when I'm on vacation, and I'm gonna teach you how to cook.
Well, you're gonna have to throw away at least 500 boxes of cereal because that's what.
No. Cereal. You can still use cereal.
Man, this is why I moved away from my mother. I don't have to hear crap from you. I don't know why you know what would sound better than you right now? You know what would really, really sound better than you right now?